Hello everyone, I am Rupinder Kaur. I am assistant professor at CGC Landra, and we are here with the topic from managerial economics, the introductory one, the demand and its determination. So in demand and determination, we'll be covering various topics. So here is the index. First we'll cover the meaning of the demand, followed by the two major concepts, that is demand schedule and demand curve, will be explained in both the ways in the context of individual demand schedule and curve, followed by the market demand schedule and curve. Then after understanding the concept of schedule and curve, we'll be heading towards the next terminology, which is demand function, a kind of equation where we will be associating several factors for the determination of the demand of a particular product. And the most important concept in the determination is the law of demand. So there are certain assumptions. Based upon them, we'll be understanding the law of demand. In the end, we'll be focusing on the final part, that is demand elasticity. So let's move further. Before heading towards the main content, we are here with the learning objective, that what you will be able to answer after listening the whole video. So to start with, it will be a kind of a definition, clear-cut definition, not a layman language definition of quantity demanded of a particular product or service. And with the help of certain illustrations, you will be getting various ideas regarding what exactly a definition is about of a demand curve. Then in the subsequent, you will be in a position to distinguish between the pairs of the concept regarding the demand and the quantity demanded. There are two different concepts, demand and quantity demanded. Then followed by the curve and the schedule, the tabular form of demand representation and the graphical representation of demand, that is demand curve, along with the movement of the curve. After learning objectives, here are the learning outcomes, that by the end of this session, you will be able to understand the meaning, determinants, schedule, curve, function, and of course, the last and most important part, elasticity of demand. So, starting with the main concept, the meaning of demand. Demand is not to be confused with the general terminologies like I want, I desire to have this thing. In economics, demand is a separate term, having a defined definition which is backed up with certain conditions. So, demand becomes effective demand when it is backed by certain things, which are namely, firstly, you should have a desire for a particular product or a service. Then there must be a kind of ability in a person to buy or fulfill that particular demand in context to the service or the product. Then you are willing to use your resources. Unless and until you have certain resources but you are not willing to spend, that doesn't mean that you have a certain demand. Then demand is always at a particular point of time. It will not be for a longer duration of time. It will be asked on a particular moment. So it will be time oriented for a particular point of time. And demand is always in context to price. After meaning, there are two terminologies, demand schedule and demand curve. Demand schedule is a sort of a tabular representation of the demand, which is in one parameter we are showing you the prices of a commodity in the number 1, 2 and 3, and subsequently the persons demanding the quantity, that is 4, 3, 2. So the relationship of price and quantity demand is going in reverse or in inverse direction. In the one side, price is going up, another side, quantity demanded is going down. For example, in case we have price 1 rupees, person will be willing or person will be demanding 4 units. Subsequently, when price increases to 3 rupees, the person will not be demanding 4, he will be instead demanding less, that is 2. So this is the tabular representation, and in case we show the tabular representation in the graphical form, it becomes demand curve. Here it is, on y-axis we are depicting the price and on x-axis we are depicting the quantity demanded. And the relationship of the table is in the form of curve, and it is downward sloping curve with DD demand curve. It is demand curve for a particular person. With the fluctuations in prices, the person is fluctuating the quantity demanded. So moving further, in case we talk about that there is a big market, or there are normally in real life we have lot many consumers, lot many people demand regarding a particular product. So here we are assuming that in order to understand the extended version of demand curve and schedule, we'll be learning another approach, which is market demand schedule. Here it is the same concept. We'll be showing prices and we'll be showing demand. But instead of one or individual demand, we'll be looking for a demand for more than one consumer. So we are here assuming that there are two consumers in the market, A and B. So at price 1, A is demanding 4 units and B is demanding 5 units. So subsequently, the summation or market demand would be 9. Same concept, in case prices are going up, market demand will comes down. Like 1, 2, 3 prices are going up, and in market demand is coming down 9, 7, 5. And here in market demand curve, we'll be having 3 different curves depicting A consumer, depicting B consumer, and the subsequent, the collaborative one, the market demand curve. So here it is, A demand curve sloping downward, B demand curve sloping downward, and same is the market demand curve sloping downward. Then we have a certain equation also in demand determination known as demand function. It will be in the both the context, individual and in market, same as we have studied in individual demand curve and schedule, market demand schedule and curve, and same is demand function. One is for individual and second is for market, the extended version. So initially we'll be starting with individual demand function, which studies the functional relationship of two things. One is the demand of a particular person regarding a certain commodity and its determination. So determinations are the factors that are influencing demand of a particular person. So in the form of equation, we'll be trying to explain both the concepts. So in case we are talking about the commodity X, so Qx will be the quantity of commodity X, and it will be equals to the function of various determinants, which is price of X, Px, price of related goods, Pr, Y stands for the income of the consumer, T stands for the taste of the consumer, and E stands for the expectations of the consumer. So these are the things that usually affect the quantity demanded of a particular person. Heading towards the next extended version, market demand function, same functional relationship, but will be a broader concept. If we are talking about the market determinants, that means there will be more than one consumer in the market. So it will be again the commodity of or quantity of the commodity X will be equals to the function of the determinants of market demand, which is price of the commodity X, price of the related goods, income of a particular consumer, states, expectations. P stands for the population here and Y stands for the distribution of the income in general in the population. So there are two concepts, individual and market demand function. Next, the very important part, law of demand. Law of demand refers to a kind of a situation which is universally applicable for each and every person, but it is with certain exceptions. So law refers to a kind of a direction of which the quantity of demanded changes in case we have certain fluctuations in the prices of a particular commodity. On the one side, we will be representing the price of the commodity. On the second side, we will be representing the quantity demanded. And earlier also we have discussed that there is an inverse relationship among the two factors. One is the price and second is the quantity. In case prices are going up, quantity will fall down. In case prices are coming down, quantity demanded will be going up. So here is the graph with the help of which we'll be understanding the law of demand. In case initially the price was price B, people were demanding the quantity B. That means a huge quantity. In case we have witnessed that there is certain rise in prices and price shoots up to PA, then persons will not be having much money in their hands, so they will be demanding less. Then the quantity demanded will be contracted to QA. After understanding the law of demand, we will be having another concept, which is elasticity of demand. Elasticity means to what extent the fluctuation can go due to a certain variation in price or in some other factor, to what extent the demand will fluctuate. So elasticity of demand will measure the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a commodity due to change in the price of a particular commodity, due to change in the income of the consumer, and finally due to change in the prices of the related goods. So when we talk about related goods, it has two aspects. Number one, price of the substitute goods. For example, we have a commodity in our hand, we can easily substitute with the commodity B. For example, best example we have a tea and a coffee. In case prices of commodity tea is going up, people have an option to shift towards the option B, that is coffee. So these are substitutes for each other. When we talk about the second aspect, which is price of related goods, it is complementary goods. Complementary goods means when you are buying one commodity, but you are engaging yourself with the second commodity also. For example, buying a car, you will be a kind of must be influenced by the prices of the petrol and the diesel. So that means buying a car and prices of fuel are also related to each other, and they are known as complementary goods. So in case prices of the fuel goes up and down, there will be a kind of variation in the quantity demanded of the cars as well. Prices are going up of fuel, people will be people will be having less tendency to buy car, and they will be having certain other options to fulfill their requirements, but they will be waiting for a while that let the prices of the fuels come down or let search for another option. So these are the three aspects. One is price elasticity of demand, when we talk about relationship of price with the quantity demanded, price of that particular good. Second aspect, income elasticity of demand, when the quantity demanded varies due to the income of the consumer. High income perspective, you will be in a position to demand more. In case your income is going down, then that means you are in a situation to buy less. And lastly, cross elasticity of demand, the relationship of price of a particular commodity with the relation to the substitute prices and the complementary goods prices. So here is the first one, price elasticity of demand. It is a kind of a equation in which you can measure the price elasticity of demand. So ED stands for elasticity of demand. It will be equals to the change in price of commodity X due to change in price of commodity Y. So here is the elasticity of demand will be equal to % change in quantity demanded due to % change in price of the commodity. So we are getting a kind of an idea from the equation itself, % change in quantity demanded due to % change in price of the commodity. That's why the term is price elasticity of demand. Next is income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand means other things such as price of a commodity, price of the related good, choice of the goods, taste of the consumer remaining constant, percentage change in quantity demanded of a thing is caused by a given percentage change in the income of the consumer. So here the quantity demanded varies not because of the price or any other factor, but because of the income of the consumer. So here is the formula in which, with the help of which you can calculate the elasticity of demand, which is elasticity of demand is equals to proportionate or % change in quantity demanded due to proportionate or percentage change in income of the consumer. So, income elasticity of demand is a kind of a concept which is derived from two factors. Number one, we are witnessing the variation in quantity demanded due to one of the factor, which is income. And finally, we have the last elasticity, which is cross elasticity of demand. Cross, which means a kind of a variation in quantity demanded due to price of related goods. So we have a kind of a mutual relationship between the price of a commodity and quantity demanded of two goods which are in relation to each other, either by they are substitute to each other, or we have second option, they are complementary goods to each other. So, the elasticity of demand in case of cross elasticity, we will be having another formula, which is proportionate or percentage change in quantity demanded of good X. We are talking about change in quantity demanded of good X, but it is due to percentage change in prices of commodity or good Y. So that means X and Y are related goods. For example, we can take proportionate or percentage change in quantity demanded of cars due to percentage change in prices of fuel, that is commodity Y. So, before moving further, we'll be having a glimpse of elasticity. So, there are three types of elasticity: price elasticity, income elasticity, and cross elasticity. Price elasticity will be a kind of a relationship between two things. One is quantity demanded due to percentage change in price. So, the demand of a particular product due to variation in particular products prices. So, it will be price elasticity. For example, we have witnessed 15% change in quantity demanded due to 10% change in prices. So, we'll be summing it up that it is elasticity is 1.5. Then income elasticity will be witnessing a kind of variation in quantity demanded of a particular commodity, not because of its price, because of the change in income of the consumer or the buyer, the person who is expressing the demand of a particular product. So, income elasticity will be showing a kind of a ratio between the proportionate change in quantity due to proportionate change in income of the consumer. In case we are witnessing the increase in income, so there will be quantity demanded will also increase. So, we will say that the income elasticity is positive. But on the other hand, in case the things are going reverse, so we will be saying that income elasticity is negative. Then cross elasticity of demand is bit complex as compared to the previous one. And two, cross elasticity will be dealing with the relationship of two goods at a time. Two goods, which means goods X and Y. And both goods X and Y are related goods to each other. Related goods in what context? It will be a kind of a commodity in relation to the second commodity, either by substitution or by being complementary to each other. The best example for substitute goods would be tea and coffee, and for complementary it will be car and fuel. So, we'll be witnessing a kind of a relationship or a kind of a ratio that express the relationship between the percentage change in the quantity demanded of good X due to percentage change in the price of good Y. So, here are the concepts to begin with. The meaning of the demand followed by the demand schedule and curve, the tabular representation and the graphical representation of the individual demand schedule and individual demand curve, followed by the market demand schedule and market demand curve, again a tabular representation and a graphical representation, a kind of a extended version. Then demand function, a kind of equation that shows the relationship of quantity demanded with the various factors which are prices of the commodity, prices of the related goods, income of the consumer, the taste and expectations of the consumers. Then we have law of demand, a kind of a relationship of price and commodity which is universally applicable but with certain exceptions, like we would say that law of demand states that in case prices goes up, demand comes down, and the inverse relationship, in case prices comes down, then quantity demanded goes up. But there are certain exceptions. For example, in case a country is witnessing a situation of war, in that situation, people will not be considering price as a kind of a factor that will decide their demand. People will be ready to pay any price and they will be having certain demand for sure. Unless and until there are certain peace situations, in case of disturbing situations, it will be prices are going up, people still will be demanding. Then elasticity of demand will be helping to measure the responsiveness of quantity demand along with the price of the goods and services, which means the relationship of demand with certain factors. To name a few, there are three mainly: price elasticity, income elasticity, and cross elasticity. Price elasticity shows the responsiveness of relationship of the quantity demanded with the price of the commodity, and income elasticity shows the responsiveness among the quantity demanded due to variation in the income of the consumer, and the cross elasticity states a kind of relationship between the quantity demanded of a particular product, for example A, due to change in the price of another commodity which is in relationship with the main commodity, either by being substitute to it or being complementary to it.